let's just try for the fun of it to run the test. And this is again where I want to show you guys how easy it is to actually make your own commands in package.json. Let's try and go to the package.json file. Right here, notice, I think there's one very important thing to notice right here. When I look at my code, you'll notice that I have a package.json file here, and I also have a package.json file out here. So I have both in the salon functions. I have a package.json file. That's not the one you should write in. You could if you want to. Okay, I would actually say it's up to you. I also have the package.json file in here. So I have two different package.json files. Okay, very important that you know that. And inside those package.json files, I have a scripts area right here, and that's where you can put in your different commands. So what I did, I added a new command right here called test, and also one called test watch. Let's try and run this one first. You can write npm, that's the node package management. You can write run, meaning that I want to run something inside my package.json file. And then you can write the name for the different commands you have available. In my case, it's going to be test. And then it's actually running jest and coverage. Why not just put that down there? Well, that's really up to you. Notice I'm getting an error right here. It says that test is not specified. And that's because if you notice right now, I'm in the wrong folder. I'm actually inside the hairdresser salon folder, and that's not the one I should be in. So let me go into the functions folder. The problem is that if I'm inside the hairdresser folder right here, then I'll hit this package.json right here, and that doesn't have a test set up. So just so you guys know that. If I go into the functions folder, it's going to look at this package.json file, and that actually has the test set up. So if I run the same commands, now it'll actually run this jest command right here, and then it'll run ---- cover, and then you'll see like you had in your old third semester project, because I added coverage, you actually have both a small coverage setup right here where it explains that there's a lot of files I didn't actually cover right now, and there's also some information about uncovered lines right here. So it's pretty informative. It also tells me that I have 2 past tests right now. So this is how easy it is to do testing. And this is the Jest framework doing this for me without the mock. I could do this without the mock TS file. You just have to use another mocking framework. But the Jest framework takes care of all of this for me in the testing part, right? So that's what the Jest does for you. Let's try and jump into the test right here just to show you that it can actually also fail. So let's just say that instead of thinking it should do this one time, it should actually call set products twice for some reason. I'll just change that and I'll run the test again. Now you'll notice one of them should fail. Okay, I get a fail. And if I scroll up, it'll actually say one test failed. It'll also try to be informative and say it should have been called 2 times, but it was just called 1 time. So now we are back to the old cool setup you had before where you can start testing how many times did we actually call different areas. That's one thing. Now you can, of course, also use it to equal. So you could, of course, also start adding information about the product should actually return with a value of 1. So you have the equal setup as well, like you did before. And I'll show you all of that Wednesday, where we start diving into some of these very specific areas with when we test. We want to be sure that when we've done actually writing a product, it should end up looking with time purchased plus 1, stuff like that. But I don't want to do that today. I want to do it test driven next time. So there we go. Now that's all there is to actually know about testing. Now, if you wanna have something continuous that it keeps listening, you can try and use the other one that I showed you. If you go back to the package.json, I have another one here called test watch. Let's just try and run that command. If it would be kind enough to stop helping me. npm run. Now again, don't worry about the npm functions because they're actually really, really fast to easy to use, right? You should just get used to them. They're freaking easy to use. So now it seems it's watching continuously and doing the tests continuously. So this could be my test server somewhere that I just instantiated and it keeps running whenever I do a change. I'm not sure that this is set up for JavaScript right now, but let's just try and change this and save it. And notice, because I'm watching, it redoes the test right away. I don't have to run it again. So it's just a way for you to kind of do live testing right here. Whenever I save, I get a rerun, and hopefully everything is green, right? So doing this, you could have continuous testing while you run your code. And the cool thing is, of course, if I start console logging in here, and this is where I feel that this gets really cool, because let's just try for the fun of it to console log the product that I initialized in the start. Let's just try and console log that. Snurf. Like this. I'll save this, and hopefully again it runs the test. It runs the test, and if we go back, you'll now see I have my console log now in here as well. So notice how fast this is to debug in the service. And you could also do it for the controller, and that's kind of what I'm setting up right here. You can debug everything if you want to. It's just so much faster to debug this. And the point is that we should expect that Firebase, if I do something specific with the functions, Firebase should give me what I expect, right? So Firebase, I expect that when I run in my controller right here, let me try and show you the controller again. I expect when I use my Firebase controller and I get this written trigger, I expect that Firebase took care of making sure that I'm getting the product right here and the product before and after. That's something I have to expect. That's their responsibility to test that in my mind. In this case, it's Angular Fire. They should have tested that for me. I don't have to worry about that because it's a third-party provider, and I think he tests everything because I trust him. But I can test that my service getting these products and a specific ID should do something specific in the service. And then in the end, I could also start testing when that service actually does get a write, it should do something specific with that data. In this case, it should count times up one, stuff like that. So this is what you can test now. And again, notice how simple it is. I don't have to deploy every time to get debug info. I don't have to deploy every time to get information back if things are running. I just need to specify and worry about my service. So that's a very cool thing. You don't have to deploy all the time, but at the same time, you test everything. We want you to test. Testing makes your software stronger, easier to read, and it's just the way to go, to be honest. If you want to start developing bigger, better systems, that's the way to go. But I still think it's worth it if you want to see some basics. Honestly, I can't remember what I said, so you can go ahead and check it out if you want to. This is notice this is a 21 series right here. But this video, you can use the deployment part, and you can use a few of these functions, but I pretty quickly move into talking about requests instead of, so making it into a REST API later on. So I think you can use most of it.